Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. The show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Saturday, June 6th, 2015. This is episode 1193. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by SmartThings. SmartThings lets you monitor, control, and automate your home from wherever you are using your smartphone. And right now, SmartThings is offering the Tech Guy listeners 10% off selected kits and get free shipping in the U.S. when you go to smartthings.com/TTG and use the offer code TTG at checkout. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk high tech. Like that's computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smart watches, smartphones, smart anything. Sorry, I'm a little out of breath here. I'm so excited to be here. Phone number 8888 Ask Leo, 888-827-5536. Website techguylabs.com. Heather Hammond is here. Hello, Heather. How are you?
Greetings.
Looks like you got a nice latte there.
It's a Twit latte.
Oh, we can make those.
The Tech Guy.
Well, we have the technology.
You have the best latte maker in the universe, I think.
Isn't that amazing?
It's very, very good.
And they're signaling me, Mr. Laporte, would you like some coffee? Yes, I would. I'm looking at what Heather has. That looks good. Mm-hmm. So let's see. What happened this week? I've been getting some goodies from the Google I/O conference. Got myself a Shield Android TV. This is the NVIDIA Shield, which is NVIDIA is making these very nice high-end Android devices. And the Shield TV is kind of the coolest, right? So Android TV is the successor to Google TV, which I also had. And didn't really... I liked it, but it didn't really get updated. It was kind of clunky and funky. They've polished this a lot, and basing it on Android was smart because Android, people know Android. And in fact, maybe I was a little disappointed because it's kind of like having an Android phone on your TV. Now, you can't run all the Android apps. They have to be TV apps. But a surprisingly large number of apps are, particularly games. So I put Crossy Road on there. Have you played that? It's kind of like an updated Frogger. 8-bit version of Frogger. Little blocky things. What else did I put? Does Not Commute. That's a fun little kind of driving puzzle game. It's hard. But the NVIDIA Shield comes with, instead of a remote control, you can get one, but it comes with a game controller, which kind of points to the direction they want to go with it. Apple rumored to be doing this next week. You know, the big Apple conference starts Monday. Wow, that's day after tomorrow as I record this. That means we'll hear some new stuff from Apple about, well, for sure, about the next version of their OS X operating system and their iOS operating system, because they do that now in June, preparing for a fall release of the next iPhone and iPad. There were rumors, we'll also hear, we know because they've started to talk about it, about Apple's home automation solution, HomeKit. And last week they released some, actually it was this week, I guess, released some new HomeKit devices. One you can buy today from Lutron, and then which is a long time, lighting company and home automation company. And then a few will be available next month, some this month, but none, only the Lutron available now, the Caseta. So, you could talk to your phone. You can say, hey, Siri, turn on the light. And if you name the light, you could say, hey, Siri, turn on the living room light, turn on the hall light. Yeah, okay. What we're really interested in, and maybe we'll be a little disappointed in, is an update to the Apple TV on Monday. So it's interesting because Google, Apple, and then also, I guess, to some extent, Microsoft and even Facebook are all kind of getting into the same areas. They all feel like, oh, this is the next big thing. Everybody, you know, that's what everybody in Silicon Valley is doing all the time. What's the next big thing? You can't, it's what have you done for me lately? You can't rest on your laurels. You have to know what the next big thing is. So there we have it. TV, home automation, I guess watches. Everybody's doing them. Although increasingly I'm starting to see, and I think we're going to see a big backlash on smartwatches. People buy them and go, yeah, what did I spend all that money for? That's not, I've noticed I'm not wearing, well, you couldn't notice, it's the radio, but look at that. I'll point it at the microphone. No watches. It's like I have an Android Wear watch, the latest, greatest LG Urbane. I have an Apple watch, the beautiful stainless steel with Milanese loop. I looked at both of them on my dresser and said, I don't forget my phone. See, that's the thing. You never forget. You always there's a metric for that. The go back and get it metric. Would you, if you left the house and forgot it, turn back and get it? I would with my phone for sure. Not for those watches. No way. I guess we'll hear about that on Monday, the Apple Watch stuff. There's what else? So there's TV, there's smartphones, obviously, watches. Where are the battlegrounds for these companies? Oh, virtual reality for sure. Google talked last week about its Google Cardboard, which is a very low-cost, kind of. If think of a ViewMaster, remember that? The ViewMaster, you'd put it up to your eyes. It'd have two holes, and you'd press the button, and you'd see, stereo, I guess, pictures of, Africa and, travel logs and Washington, D.C. and stuff. Well, Google has its own. In fact, ViewMaster makes one. Google has its own cardboard now. They put it out last year, and they've really gone all in on it. Virtual reality, they announced a camera. And Apple has not really announced anything, although we know they're working on something in the labs. Facebook, of course, owns the big Oculus Rift. What else? What other battlegrounds? The disappointment, I think, on Monday, and this came from the Wall Street Journal, which is Apple's notorious for when they want to leak something, when they want to tell the world something. They put this out on the Wall Street Journal. It's like it's like the wire service for Apple News. They call a tame reporter at the Journal and say, "Don't say where you heard this, but we're probably not going to have a new Apple TV." Everybody thought there'd be a new Apple TV on Monday. And then the article comes out. No, Apple probably isn't going to have a new TV. They want to set expectations. I don't want anybody to be too disappointed. I'm disappointed. This Android TV is cool because you have an Android store. You can add apps. So far, disappointment. There's no HBO yet, although I hear HBO Now will be coming to it. No Showtime, although Showtime's going to do the same thing as HBO's doing, which is bypass the cable companies, sell directly to consumers. They're going to have a Showtime app later this summer. There's Netflix. There's no Amazon TV. There needs to be that. There needs to be at least Amazon TV. It's still not like as good as a Roku. It's more game focused. The Roku has some games, but it's too slow a processor in there to play games. It's more for TV. This new Android TV is more game focused. And if you're in the Google universe, you're my Google Music. I can listen to that on there. Tune-in radio's on there. I don't know why Apple didn't. Because we all expected this was the next generation, the Apple TV. It was going to come out because it was going to be the home base for your home kit, for your home automation stuff. It would become the internet connection to your home so that you could use it as a gateway to your home and at work turn on and off lights, open the garage door, unlock doors, things like that. We expected that they would add an app store. They've never had that on Apple TV. And we know have been negotiating furiously with all the television networks, even local stations, to try to put together kind of an internet cable system, which people would love, so you could watch all the TV you want to watch right on the Apple TV. You wouldn't need a cable subscription or a set-top box. There is one little hitch. You would need an internet subscription, and since in most areas it's your phone company or your cable company offering the internet, you'd probably still have a big bill for internet. But at least you could go directly to the cable TV providers. So we all thought this would be happening on Monday, but I guess the word has gone out via the Apple press release system, a.k.a. the Wall Street Journal. Nope. 8888 Ask Leo, website techguylabs.com, techguylabs.com. If you have a question, a comment, a suggestion, you want to talk high tech, Heather's here with her latte in hand. Now I have mine. And we're ready to go. Time to talk high tech with the Tech Guy right after this. So this Android Shield's pretty interesting. Kind of like it. Although it is just an Android device, Android phone on your TV. But it has Chromecast built in, so I guess I can do all the stuff I want to do via Chromecast. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, 8888. Ask Leo. Here to take your calls. I'll tell you, I started telling Heather the story of wearing virtual reality in bed last night, but I'll save that story. That doesn't sound right, does it? I'll save that story for next hour because I want to take some calls. But I have to say, I have been negative about virtual reality. But I've turned the corner on this thing. I feel like we're seeing some really interesting stuff. But I'll get to that in a little bit. Heather has not only a latte, but like all these calls. What do these people want? Why is the phone ringing?
Go away. Stop bothering us. People have issues, don't you know?
You got a computer, you got issues, that's for sure.
Also, if you have a camera and the audio ain't so great or up to snuff, as they say.
Oh, yeah.
Marty in Newton, Mass. has a question.
Okay. That's line 3 there, huh? Marty, Newton, Mass. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.
Hello, Leo.
Hello, Marty.
Hi, I have a DSLR camera, and I'm doing a project with school, shooting video, and the audio just on the stock built-in microphone is not up to snuff.
No, it isn't it? It's terrible. So if you look at the camera, there's a little hole. That's right, like on the front. Maybe there's two if it's stereo. That's the microphones. And it's, for one thing, the people are talking over there. You're over here. So it sounds like they're in a big room. It's all echoey, right?
Yep, it sounds terrible.
Yeah. So some DSLR, you could fix this easily on some DSLRs. Some DSLRs have microphone inputs. Does yours? DSLR, by the way, is a
yeah, it does.
Fancy camera.
It has a
mini
8-inch in.
Yeah. So you're in luck. Now you have many, many possibilities. You can buy. Rode, for instance, makes what they call a RODE, a stereo mic for cameras that has just a little mini jack. It fits on the hot shoe where the flash would go on your camera, and it's much better. But I have an even better solution. But anyway, it's much better, and it just plugs in. You put a battery in it, takes a 9-volt battery, and it works quite well. So I use that. It looks kind of dumb because here you are with a regular camera, and you have this big microphone on top of it. But it really works. So that's the simplest. But there's also a company called Beach Tech you should know about. Beach, just like beach, T-E-K. And they make adapters for DSLR cameras that will take any kind of microphone and turn it into the mini jack that you need. So I use a Beach Tech adapter. This one doesn't mount on the hot shoe. You could probably get a mount to put it on the bottom of the camera or whatever, and then plug it in, and then you can use regular microphones, like of any kind, because it has the standard microphone DIN plugs on the front, XLR plugs. So that means then, and it depends what you're doing, of course. You have to pick the microphone for the job. But if, for instance, you're doing an interview show where there's two people, you'd want them to wear lapel mics, what we call lavalier mics. And you can have lavalier mics that go via wire into that Beach Tech and into your camera, and then the sound is superb.
So if what I have at home, I have a pair of nice hyoidynamic microphones.
Oh.
Just right into that Beach Tech box.
That's what we use in the studio. Absolutely. That'll work great. So for that, you need the Beach Tech, yep. Because you need, as you know, you're getting, in the Beach Tech, some of them support power, some of them don't. So you're going to want to get one because you need a phantom, what they call phantom power for those Heil mics. So that'll mean there'll be a little battery in it. But boy, they work great.
For the Heil, I thought it was a dynamic microphone.
It is. Oh, you're right. It is. So you don't need anything, actually. You're absolutely right. So get the little Beach Tech. There's a variety of these. You don't need to spend a lot of money on the Beach Tech. I would get the little DSLR SLR Mini, they call it, which just that's powered. You can even, I even have one that's not powered at all. It just does a great job. I really love these. So this is the professional version. You could see if you go to beachtech.com that many of these have a little thread where you'd put the tripod, so you can screw it to the bottom of the camera. And the nice thing now, you have volume controls, you have meters, you can really see what you're doing. And then you can use a variety of microphones for the right thing. You can use a shotgun mic if you want to be distant from the object. If you have an interview, you could use those Heil PR mics. You probably want to put those on stands. Unless they're handheld, I guess you could use it as an interview thing. I like wired, too. Now, you may be tempted to say, oh, I could go wireless. And my recommendation is kind of avoid wireless on microphones, unless you're willing to spend a lot of money. Because remember the scene in Spinal Tap where they're playing at the Air Force Base with wireless guitar amps, and all of a sudden you're coming in heavy on runway 6 in the middle of the concert. You don't want that. So,
you lose all the
all the fun.
You lose all the quality when you go to the wireless.
You don't just lose the quality. You pick up, more importantly, you start getting other people's broadcasts, radio stations. Especially if you're doing this, we've used wireless in trade shows when there are a lot of other people using wireless. Actually, we brought down a television station. We had a more powerful transmitter. We were going around with a mobile rig, and they had a stage set up. It was G4 TV. They had a stage set up. They were covering the big E3 gaming conference, and all of a sudden their wireless microphones started getting hits and sounds, and they finally said, "Can you get out of here? You're ruining our sound." So if you get wireless, get the biggest then you'll win. Stay away from wireless if you can. Wired is so much easier. Now it's a little annoying because you got wires going to the microphone, but that's okay. All right, you're gonna love this. You will say, oh, because you with your DSLR, your high quality interchangeable lens camera, you're taking movie quality. I mean, Hollywood movie quality video, beautiful video. And you can change the lenses and get all sorts of great looks, and then the audio sounds like this. That's not good. You want to have a good mic. Since you have the nice Heils, get the BeachTech adapter. It works very nicely. And you can see which ones they have, and they have DSLR adapters, and those are the ones you'd probably want to look at. It's what I use, and it works quite well. I have a little pair of Sennheiser wired lavalier mics, so I can just attach it to my lapel. It's a thin wire, so you have it go out the back of your shirt or whatever, and it goes along the ground. The camera doesn't see it, and it's like a professional production. It's incredible. Hey, speaking of professional productions, Scott Wilkinson, our home theater guru, is back. He's going to join us in just a little bit, talk about the latest in big screen TVs and surround sound and all of that. 8888 Ask Leo is the number, 888-827-5536, and the website where we put all this stuff, including pictures and information, is techguylabs.com. And James DeRuvo's writing this all down as I talk. He's putting it up there. So it's up there really within a few minutes. And then Josh Windish, who works here with me, takes it all, puts audio and video on it, picks a product of the week, a tip of the week, and all of that stuff. Tech Guy, it's very useful, I hope. Very useful. techguylabs.com. And you know what? It doesn't cost a thing. I don't sign you up for anything. There's no newsletter. I'm too lazy to do a newsletter. Everybody says, Leo, you should do it. I don't want it. I'm on the radio. You just listen to the radio. That's my newsletter. 8888 Ask Leo. Scott Wilkinson coming up. Right after this, I am Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Scott Wilkinson, he's the bump of the avsforum.com. He also hosts a wonderful show.
Hey, I'm going to put that on my business card now. The
bump. I would look it up and see what it means before you do that. I don't know, but I would worry. He also is the host of the Home Theater Geeks show, and that is at twit.tv/HTG. Here he is. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Scott de Bump.
Have you ever looked at the lyrics of that song? They actually make no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, it's nonsense, which is why it's perfect for you. No,
it's perfect
that's
for me.
terrible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, I got the new, I was talking about it at the beginning of the show, the new NVIDIA Shield Android TV. This is yet another set-top box, an expensive one. It's $200 compared to Roku's
$200 compared to like 100 or 50 or something.
Well, it has Chromecast built in, which is nice.
Okay, that's good.
You know, Chromecast, Google said they've sold 17 million Chromecasts because they're $35. They've streamed 1.7 billion programs in the year since they created it. I think it's really a good choice for a lot of people if you want to make your TV smart. You just plug it into an HDMI port, and then you use your smartphone to cast to it. The only problem is not every app supports casting to it.
Right.
But many do, and more do all the time. And I really feel like that's a nice, easy way to do it.
It is, but this new NVIDIA thing looks pretty interesting too. And somebody in the chat room said that it would actually be streaming 4K or UHD content as well.
Yeah, NVIDIA makes a very powerful chip and this is really a show-off for their chip. They make video cards, you know, graphics cards.
Sure.
And so this Tegra chip they have in there is very powerful. So you can game nicely on it. And yeah, I'd be very interested once there's 4K content.
Well, there is some. Certainly Netflix does it.
But let me ask you, and this actually, I'm glad you brought this up, because don't they have to compress the heck out of it?
Yes, they do.
So it's not going to look great, is it?
No. I mean, yes and no. I mean, my colleague Mark Henninger has been doing quite a bit of comparison between streaming and Blu-ray. And streaming 1080p, that is what Blu-ray is, doesn't get up to Blu-ray spec. And he's streamed some 4K and said, you know what, that kind of reaches Blu-ray quality standards.
Well, I'd be happy with that.
So, you know, but it's, I mean, okay, so
don't I need
streaming
a
is more
4K TV though? I mean,
you do. Yeah,
I don't have that anyway. So
yeah, you need a 4K TV in order to do that. And buying a 4K TV and streaming 4K content to get Blu-ray quality, okay, that's not bad, but you're spending a lot of money when you could be playing a Blu-ray and get that automatically away.
And then the next question I'd have is, and everybody wants to buy a 4K TV right now. I mean, they're just
and pretty soon it'll be impossible not to.
But should I wait for SUHD or whatever this new standard is?
Well, SUHD you're talking about is Samsung's new line of UHD, Ultra HD TVs that implement this new thing that we've been talking about on the show called High Dynamic Range, or HDR. That's a generic term, and there are 4 or 5 different standards for it.
Oh, I thought we had a standard.
No, we actually do have a standard, which is from SMPTE, the Society of Motion Picture and Television Engineers, and then we have 4 different proprietary systems. One of which, the biggest of which, is called Dolby Vision. And already Vizio will soon release, we hope, the reference series TV with Dolby Vision high dynamic range. And Vudu is streaming 4K with Dolby Vision high dynamic range. Now that should look really, really good. That should surpass Blu-ray easily. We haven't seen it I haven't seen it at home yet. The reference series has not yet been released, but we did see it at NAB, this trade show, a couple months ago in the Dolby booth, and man, oh man, it looked good. I've always said that this high dynamic range is what's going to really push 4K or Ultra HD to the next level. Having a bunch of extra pixels doesn't really matter to me at a normal seating distance from a normal size TV, 50, 60 inches, what most people buy. But when you see high dynamic range, your eyes just pop out of your head and you go, wow, that's amazing. So
you TV guys have something new every week.
Well, you know.
Come on, really.
Well,
if I bought a new TV every time a TV guy said, oh, it's gonna blow your mind, I'd be broke. You can't, and sometimes I mean, 3D, sometimes they're wrong.
Yes, 3D was wrong. I admit it.
But you weren't you didn't advocate 3D at home, did you? I don't think so.
Well, I kind of liked it. I like 3D more than you do, clearly.
More than consumers do, clearly.
Yeah, clearly. More than a lot of consumers do. On AVS Forum, it's a big argument about, some people love it, some people hate it. But when you see HDR, high dynamic range,
there's no question.
No question.
Okay.
Nobody argues about it. They go, wow.
Yeah.
No question about it. Now, here's the thing. With Ultra HD, they are the industry is trying to create a system that is going to last much longer than the HD TV system, which we now have. It's only about 10 years old, and already it's being supplanted, superseded by Ultra HD. And
that's
as I said,
another reason consumers are bitter and angry.
Yes. But the high dynamic, or the Ultra HD, the ecosystem, as we call it sometimes, is being designed so that it might last as much as 20 years.
Oh, yeah, sure. That just, come on.
Well, no, it's true. No, it's true. It's true. For example, the range of colors that one can display right now is fairly limited. And they're designing the new system whereby no TV can possibly do it now. So it's so big that it has room to be grown into over the next decade or two. Same with the high dynamic range. We're going to... it
is true that if you have a color gamut, in other words, if you could show more colors than the human eye can see, I guess you wouldn't have to upgrade it beyond that.
Correct. And one of the standards that's being considered for this wide color gamut goes beyond what the human eye can see.
We've seen that in computers. As soon as you had 4 billion colors, or whatever it is,
whatever it was,
24-bit color, you didn't need to go beyond that, and nobody has. That's like, okay, we're done. Same thing in music. As soon as you get to 44K 16,
oh well, there's an argument there.
But I mean, honestly, let's be realistic. It's only like crazy audiophiles that would ever want to go past that.
Well, it's people who have a system capable of reproducing it.
Yeah.
Do you remember the high resolution audio experiment I conducted some months ago?
That was interesting.
It was interesting. Of the respondents, I had them all tell me, what kind of system do you have? Some people had systems that could not reproduce high resolution audio fully, and they got the answer correct 50% of the time, as you would expect.
By guessing. Same result you guess if you guessed.
Guessing.
Yeah.
Among those who did have high resolution capable audio systems, they got a correct hit rate at 80%.
So people can hear the difference.
Yep.
What was the bit rate of those high ends?
It was 24 bits, 96 kilohertz sampling rate.
I think at this point, I'm of the opinion that's as high as you ever would need to go. That's the equivalent of 4 billion colors. It's just like no ear can go beyond that. And there's a strong case to be made that if you go beyond that in sample rate, you're adding distortion and weird sounds that aren't in the music.
It's possible, depending on how it's done. That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
So
anyway, we got to stop. I could go on with you forever. I just want
I love doing it.
I want to point people to twit.tv/HTG, where there is every week an hour or two of great conversation around these subjects. Scott Wilkinson, our home theater guy. Let's talk next week. What do you say?
You bet. You bet.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls right after this.
Hey, everybody in the chat room. Glad to be back. Had a very meaningful and nice memorial service for my friend last Saturday morning. After which I went down to the show, the home entertainment show at the Hotel Irvine in, where else? Irvine. Although it's called The Show Newport because it's like right next door to Newport Beach, and that's where it used to be. But the big thing that I had intended to talk about on my segment here, but we got distracted, which is fine, is Andrew Jones news. We have Andrew Jones, as you know, if you've been listening to me for any length of time, you know that I'm a big fan of Andrew Jones, who is a speaker designer who designed a set of speakers for Pioneer that were remarkable in their quality for the cost. They were very low cost. Well, Andrew Jones has left Pioneer and gone to a company called ELAC, E-L-A-C, which you might remember. They used to do turntables in the U.S., and they disappeared for a while. They still do. They have always done pretty high-end speakers in Europe. They're German-based. And now they want to come back into the U.S. market with speakers, and they got Andrew Jones to come over and design them some speakers. And I heard the first ones at the show Newport. And those were the things that was what everyone was talking about. Whenever I ran into anybody I knew and I said, hey, what have you seen or heard at the show that you really like? They all said, you must go to the ELAC room and hear the new Andrew Jones speakers. So I did, and they are remarkable. They're amazing. So, and the B5 bookshelf speakers, the smaller bookshelf speakers, two-way, are $229 a pair. Now, that's a little bit more than the bookshelves he designed for Pioneer, but still incredible. And at a high-end show where people are showing off tens of thousands of dollars worth of speakers for these $200 a pair of speakers, $229. It was incredible, just amazing. He's done a remarkable job. And so that's pretty amazing. So I now have only 55 seconds left. Thank you, Leo, for putting that up there. That's very good. Web 8375. I am looking forward to Jurassic World. I think it should be very, very good. I went and saw Tomorrowland in standard dynamic range, and I found myself wishing for high dynamic. I think high dynamic range has spoiled me for regular movies, I'm sad to say. Anyway, there you go.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'd only tell you the truth. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S., Canada. Michael, Newport Beach. You're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Michael.
Hey, how are you doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, thanks. I had a question. I think I do need to upgrade my cable modem because it's not a DOCSIS 3.
Yes, you do.
And, yeah, I'm on 50 megabit internet, and when I do the speed test, it goes to about 13.
Now, of course, DOCSIS 3, which is a standard for cable internet, having a DOCSIS 3 modem means nothing if you don't have a DOCSIS 3 switch on the other end. So your cable company has to make sure, you have to make sure that the cable company is offering you DOCSIS 3 and that they have put a DOCSIS 3 switch on your connection.
Got it. Yeah, they notified me, and I use a CRM, and it just seems slow when I search it. So yeah, I was just kind of looking to upgrade to see if that would help speed things up. But I couldn't. Yeah,
DOCSIS is kind of the standard for negotiating. It stands for Data Over Cable Service Interface Specification, and it's a way of negotiating between the switch at the cable company and your house what kind of connection you can get. But it does make a difference, and you certainly want a D3 or DOCSIS 3 modem if you can get one. I'm surprised they didn't offer you one.
Well, they did, but I'm just the type of guy that doesn't want to pay the...
Yeah, well, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, $10 a month.
I'm that guy, too. I went out and bought an Aris modem. The thing is, you get a more up-to-date modem because, they recycle those. Clean off the dust, give it to somebody else. So it's nice to have your own. It saves you the, whatever, $5 a month rent.
Yeah. So the question was, I didn't know if I want to get I'm on a really old Linksys router, so I felt like I should upgrade the router, and I didn't know if I should get just a 2-in-1. I'd only seen one little article online that said if you do a lot of heavy-duty streaming and, Netflix, et cetera, that you should go for separate components for a more robust system.
I think in general, how many times have we said, if you're having trouble with your internet, reboot the router? So, of course, whenever I reboot I have separates. Whenever I reboot the router, I will reboot the cable modem as well. So, it is the case that you probably I don't know if it matters. If you can get a good modem plus router plus Wi-Fi, what the heck? It's just my feeling. In general, you want them separate because you're not going to upgrade the modem as much as you might well upgrade the router as new specs come out. You want 802.11. AC, the latest version. You want MIMO, multiple in, multiple out, which means multiple antennas. You want dual band, 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. And ideally, you'd want a router that you can either update yourself with open source firmware like DDWRT, or that's from a company that kind of keeps their router firmware up to date, because routers have become a real attack vector for bad guys lately. There's lots of flaws in almost every router made now.
Got it.
So separating the two out probably does make sense.
Okay, got it. And then, so would you recommend that I immediately, if I get a new router, that I flash it with new firmware?
Well, if you get one of the ASUS is one of the companies that makes DDWRT compatible routers. They have their own, or OpenWRT. They have their own ASUS WRT, which is based on it. But just knowing that you can upgrade it is very nice because, yes, I mean I wouldn't flash it necessarily right away, but there's so many problems. If your router, for instance, this is the latest, has a USB port for a hard drive, this NetUSB flaw is horrific, and nobody's going to fix it. Router companies just don't fix these bugs. I've mentioned this before. On Christmas Day last year, Xbox Live and Sony PlayStation Network both were down all day, and it's not an accident. This Lizard Squad, this group of teenage jerkos, decided, oh, it'd be funny if we brought down the two services on the most important day of the year, the day that all these kids, I mean, this is so messed up. All these kids got their new Xbox and PlayStation. They want to use it. Sorry, the network's down. And the way they did it is through a flaw in routers, well-known flaw, and they were able to corral hundreds of thousands of routers to bring these services down. And these routers are still in service. They're not gone. People don't go, oh, I got to get a new router. And the companies didn't patch. And we're finding new flaws all the time. So yes, I would say pay attention to your router firmware. More than Windows now, more than Flash, more than Java. This is the way bad guys get you.
Interesting.
Isn't that funny? But it's always changing because what's happening is people are getting savvy. They're updating stuff. As soon as everybody starts using open source router firmware and keeping it up to date, they'll find another vector. Anything that goes on the net is a potential entry point for bad guys. And in this case, the routers are ones that aren't getting updated, and that's the one. Yes. So as you get a new router, keep all that in mind, I think. Okay. Frankly, people cheap out on the router. They say, oh, look, Linksys, $40. I see 1,000 of them in a stack at Best Buy. I better pick up one. And that's not probably the best way to choose a router. So those of you who listen to the show, the savvy ones, do yourself a favor, do the internet as a whole a favor. Get a good router. You may be spending $150 to $200. You may be getting because a good router costs more. I like these ASUS a lot, though.
Got it. Okay. Appreciate the advice.
Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. I use Airport Extremes, the Apple router. Yes, they're almost $200. But you have two advantages. One, they do their own firmware, and Apple does keep it up to date. They update it regularly. But two, there's so few of them out there, they're not a big attack vector. You go after the Linksyses of the world. That's where you go. Ben in Brentwood, California. Hey, Ben, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello, Mr. Laporte.
Hello, Ben.
The question, I guess, of the hour and the month and the year, Windows 10. Yeah. When are we going to be able to start seeing some, I guess, the lower end, like I think of Lenovo and Satellite.
I think every OEM, HP, Lenovo, Toshiba, Dell, they'll all be making Windows 10 specific computers available. If you have Windows 7 or Windows 8 right now, on a computer, you'll obviously get the Windows 10 upgrade. You've probably already seen that little Windows 10 logo in your system tray that says Get Windows 10. You can sign up and get the free upgrade. If you're buying a new computer...
Yeah, when can we expect to be able to start,
Probably not till, like, August. It takes them a little while. They'll get the bits, as we say, the software, probably in the next few weeks, start making the machines, but they first have to test them. The thing you might want to look for, and by the way, this week in Taiwan, they have a big conference, the Computex, and Dell announced new ones. Everybody announced new Windows 10 specific. The big difference on Windows 10 is the Microsoft Hello camera, which is designed to allow you to sign on using face recognition. And it has some extra stuff in it to make it more reliable, more secure. So if that's something you want to use, if you want to, and you can actually Google Microsoft Hello to get an idea of what it'll do.
Well, I'm actually thinking in another direction.
Okay.
I have these files. Have you heard of TS files, transport streams?
No, tell me about that.
There's well, maybe I won't name them. There's a certain great company out there that lets you basically record everything off the air or record everything from any type of media. Yeah. I've recorded... copied things.
Hang on just a second, because I have to take a break for news at the top of the hour, and I want to find out more about this. So hang on. We'll talk when we get back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And I also, this would be a good time to plug Thurrott.com. Paul has a, I forget I'm using my Windows machine now for my screen. Here we go. Here's what you can expect. This is the one I wanted to show you, and we'll put this in the show notes. In fact, let me copy it and paste it into the chat room. Here's what you can expect from the new Windows 10 PCs. Mostly the same, a few innovations. Windows Hello is the big one. Specialized hardware, new cameras, or new existing fingerprint scanners to recognize you automatically. Continuum is cool, which lets you do kind of a handoff between a window display and a tablet. I don't understand what it does. Supports for anyway. Continuum. I read it and I still don't understand. Games, DirectX 12 will only be supported by Windows 10, so for games. Miniaturization. You saw these amazing Quanta compute plugs. I got to show people this. That's about it. So you know what? There isn't a huge, and Paul has always said this, there isn't a huge compelling argument for going to wait for a Windows 10 computer. If you're upgrading an existing computer, you're probably fine. Let me paste this into Twit Live. Oh, I forgot. Sorry, Scott. I'm just sitting here gassing. It's all yours, sir.
Quite all right. No problem. I'm happy to hang out in the chat room. Got lots of people in there. I was asking about, I'm not really a Windows guy, and so I was wondering what happened to Windows 9. And why did they skip over the odd number, which is usually the better version?
Well, they want to kind of emphasize it's very different from any version of Windows you've used.
Yeah, I've heard a number of theories. One is that Windows 9 might get confused with Windows 95 or 97 or...
Yeah, somebody said that. I don't think that's the real reason.
I don't think that's the real reason.
Paul Thurrott says they just want to make it very clear this is a massive change. Yeah.
Yeah. And is it really a massive change? Have you seen anything of it?
No, Windows 8 was such a flop, they want to distance themselves.
All right. Plus the fact somebody else said that Apple's on Mac OS X, OS 10, basically, so they didn't want to be behind.
It has nothing to do with that. It's almost certainly, it's just that they wanted to make sure that you understand it's not Windows 8. Right. And it's not an improved Windows 8. But it is, that's all it is.
That's all it is.
Yeah. Also, I think because it's kind of the last version they think of Windows that they're going to deliver this way, they're kind of...
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Leo, I don't think you heard the next week. Maybe we can talk about the Andrew Jones news. Maybe he's not on the line right at the moment. So anyway, hey, Sybil, glad to see you. Lawn Dog, always glad to see you here. Yeah, I'm not really much of a Windows guy. I do have a Windows laptop for my calibration, TV calibration, because that's all that it runs, that the calibration software runs under. But, you know, otherwise, I'm kind of a Mac guy. I took Leo's advice. I got my router kind of went south all of a sudden in the middle of my podcast. What's up with that? Which was very strange. And so I went and got an Airport Extreme and generally been very happy with it. Let's see here. We were talking about Andrew Jones. Oh, somebody in the chat room earlier I was chatting with about speakers. I think it was, gosh, I can't remember now. Whoever you were, we're talking about studio monitors. Post something here so that I can remember your name. Yes, Mick, the friendly abode is the chat room indeed. W8SS Joe asked, do I use those instrumental tuning apps? No, I haven't actually used those because mostly I tune to the ensemble wherever they happen to be. It might not be where the app says we should be, but anyway, that's what I do there. Anyway, we were talking about... Oh, Rusty Bones asked, did I see San Andreas? No, I haven't seen it yet. Tom Norton did. He came into town for the show Newport and went to see San Andreas at the IMAX in Hollywood, the Chinese IMAX with laser projection. He thought it was an okay movie. He actually kind of liked Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I've heard other people say that Dwayne Johnson should stick to wrestling, but he's not done that in a long time. So, hard to say.
Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, smart homes. Everything's smart now, smart TVs. In a world where everything is smart, the dumb man is king. No, I think that's wrong somewhere. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the number, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S., Canada, or New Jersey. Outside those regions, though, please use Skype. You could still reach us because we have listeners, thanks to the internet, all over the world. It's amazing. We were talking before the break to Ben in Brentwood, and he was going to tell me about something which sounds vaguely illegal called transport streams.
No, not illegal. Not even close.
What is it?
Not even in Clintonian speak would it be vaguely illegal. What it does is it lets you record from any kind of input device, and by law, everyone is allowed to save one copy for themselves. That's the thing that got the Supreme Court to push over the edge, the whole VHS thing. I don't know if you remember, but
it's not strictly true. But go ahead.
I think
it's only true for it's only true for analog content. This was the Home Recording Act, but digital content has not been ruled open to that loophole. The Supreme Court's never ruled on digital content. So,
well, yes, but if it hasn't been ruled on, that means there's no
it's specifically prohibited. It's specifically prohibited by the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. But go ahead.
Oh, wow.
It doesn't matter. Who cares?
Okay.
Who cares? No cop is going to come in your house and say, I hear you've been copying digital media.
No cop, but the NSA maybe. Okay.
Yeah,
so
maybe.
It creates these files called TS files, transport stream. And basically you can convert to anything, VHS, movies on DVDs, you can copy DVDs straight, you can copy over-the-air broadcasts, everything. And you can actually make a beautiful collection of TS files. So my question was, do you think that 10 will go out of their way to backwardly migrate to these niche kind of programs?
That's interesting because Microsoft has abandoned the Windows Media Center. They've already said it will not work in 10. And if you have, by the way, if you're running Windows 7 or 8 and you have installed Windows Media Center, prepare yourself when you upgrade to Windows 10, it will be deleted.
Oh, great.
So I would guess that, I don't know, because they also said that Windows 10 will support MKV files, which
what is that?
That's a file wrapper that is commonly used in piracy. So it's not necessarily the fact that Microsoft wants to avoid controversy here. Mm-hmm. The TS streams we see on a DVD, you see a TS file. It's the same thing as that, I would guess.
Yeah, transport stream.
Yeah. It's a container. It's another container like MKV. The issue, of course, is, as you say, these are niche file formats. I wouldn't be surprised, given Microsoft says we'll support MKV, which is another container. It's just like .ts. I wouldn't be surprised if they support .ts as well, only because without Windows Media Center, if they didn't, you'd have to go to somebody else's program.
Or they could just put the onus on the company to write updated drivers, which would enable them to interact
hardware,
with Windows 10.
The whole thing is, and this is why Apple never made a Blu-ray player for any Macintosh, Steve Jobs called it, it's a bag of hurt, because of the conflicting laws and the very strong pressure and lobbying from the movie and TV industry to preserve copy protection. The game industry used to use copy protection. They got rid of it. Music industry used to use copy protection. They got rid of it. In both cases, they realized it wasn't protecting them, and it was annoying their legitimate customers.
Right.
Television and movies, they haven't figured that out yet. They're the last holdouts for DRM, them and a few vertical applications that require special hardware dongles to use on your PC.
Well, this company seems to have figured it out, and my collection of a couple hundred TS movies is great.
Probably, the question of what's in there is you could put anything of any quality in a TS file. Most of the time, it's MPEG-4. But
right, they do give you that option too.
Yeah, but it's just a wrapper, so it's not really saying I have a TS file is not saying really much about the quality of the file, and in order to get transport a digital recording into a TS file, if there's copy protection, may require turning into an analog and so forth. So it's not really a guarantee of quality.
But I'm thinking Windows 10 wouldn't make a difference.
Wouldn't be nice if it played it. I agree, and I don't know if it will. But of course,
because it's recorded in HD, and
there's
save it as HD. There's
VLC and other players that would probably still continue to play .ts files. So
true that.
I think you're going to be okay. Whether Windows 10 supports it, I don't know. Now, to answer your fundamental question, which is, should I get a new computer with Windows 10 or just upgrade an existing computer? Paul Thurrott has a good article. I put this in the show notes on his website. He's our Windows guru, Thurrott, THURROTT.com.
Okay.
Yeah, and he talks about what the new hardware will contain, and it's nothing really significant. It's that hello thing I mentioned, which is kind of like operating system support and hardware support for fingerprint or camera recognition for better authentication. And I think that's a good thing to have, but not necessary. Continuum, which is basically sounds like marketing speak from Microsoft, but if you want to read the article, I don't know exactly what it does, but you could read the article. And then finally, what was the third thing? In other words, nothing important. So no reason not to get a new PC today running Windows 8.1 and just upgrading it July 29th. I mean, it's hard to imagine you really needing Microsoft Hello or Continuum. I feel like we're kind of Windows 10 is interesting. This is a new era for Microsoft. Scott Wilkinson was asking off the air, where'd Windows 9 go? Well, I think Microsoft decided not to do Windows 9 to emphasize that this is a new era for Windows. They've said several times, this is the last version of Windows we're going to do like this. It almost implies that they're going to switch to an Apple style. Well, you'll upgrade every year. It'll be a free upgrade. In other words, just a continuous stream of improvements and not a massive improvement, every 3 years. This would be a change for Microsoft, and I think this is where they're going. There are lots of questions about this Windows 10 upgrade, including a very important one, I think, which is how do you do a clean install? So if you have a Windows 8 or Windows 7 machine and you got that little flag in your system tray where it says, it doesn't even make sense. It's just an ad, I guess. Reserve your copy of Windows 10 today. Okay, it's free, right? Yeah. Reserve it today. Okay. If you click it, nothing seems to happen. It doesn't go away either, which is kind of annoying. It checks your system to see if it's compatible. But if you're running Windows 7 or 8, you're almost certainly compatible. It would just be maybe some third-party hardware or software that wouldn't be. And then I guess what it's going to do is it's just going to kind of, it sits there. It doesn't use much, we checked, it doesn't use much memory. It doesn't use much of your processor. It just kind of sits there. It's kind of just an ad, frankly. And then, well, best we can guess, because Microsoft's not saying, if you have this little thing and you've accepted the invitation, at some point before July 29th, it will probably start downloading copies of Windows 10 onto your system. That it will start getting the bits, because it's 3 gigabytes of downloads. And then on July 29th, there won't be a massive line of people trying to download 3 gigabytes all at the same time. I think that's probably the reason Microsoft's doing this, plus the marketing point of view. Did you all get this little weird Windows icon? Is this in your system tray? Have you seen it? A number of people thought, oh, this is a virus. Because we've trained you, haven't we? Oh, if it says it from Microsoft, be suspicious, because that's what the bad guys say. It's not a virus. It's just saying, yeah, I'd like Windows 10 when it's available. Thank you. You're standing in a velvet rope now. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. By the way, this fine podcast of the Tech Guy Show brought to you by the same people bring you the Tech Guy Show, Smart Things. We love Smart Things. I love talking about smart things. It makes it easier than ever to turn your home into a smart home. I want you to go to smartthings.com/TTG. Smart would make it easy for you. 3 letters. The Tech Guy. Smartthings.com/TTG. smartthings.com/TTG. Now, let me tell you what you're looking at. SmartThings is, smart home product that lets you tie all of your smart devices in to one smart hub, which is really cool because that smart hub then has the one app that you use on your iPhone or your Android phone or tablet or your Windows phone to control your home. So you can press a button on your smartphone. It says go to sleep, and the house goes to turn the lights off. You could totally do it very simply. It talks to Zigbee, it talks to Z-Wave, it talks to your Schlage locks, your drop cam, your Honeywell thermostat. They also have all the little SmartThings doohickeys, the moisture sensors to make sure your plants aren't drying out, the presence sensors, when your kids come home or leave home. You can restrict energy flow. They have plug sockets that will turn off on command. They have motion sensors that are useful to go with their cameras. They got it all. Now, the easiest way to get started with SmartThings is to get the SmartThings kit. They have 3 kits, and we're going to get you 10% off of any of these 3 kits. Actually, they have more than 3, but the 10% off their home security, their energy saver, or their water detection kit. And all you have to do is go to smartthings.com/TTG and use the offer code TTG. So lights come on when you go in the kitchen, for instance, or when the kids come home, music starts playing. When you come home, music starts playing. It is really sweet. It's a very easy way to get up and going on your smart home. And having tried for years to set up a smart home, I was so pleased to see it. SmartThings, let me go back to the website, smartthings.com/TTG. When you get there, look at the variety of products that are supported, because you'll be very impressed. Get one of the 3 starter kits, the home security, the energy saver, or the water detection kit when you go to smartthings.com/TTG. Don't forget to use the offer code TTG to get 10% off and free shipping in the U.S. smartthings.com/TTG. I love it. You will too, I think. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. Once you get into this thicket that is the Windows 10 update, there's no way out. We have a Windows podcast called Windows Weekly we do every Wednesday with 2 of the top Windows journalists. These people, they have sources, they cover it, just that's all they do. Mary Jo Foley from ZDNet. She's at her site is all about Microsoft.com. That gives you some hint. And Paul Thurrott, as I mentioned, who's at Thurrott.com. These guys really, this is their entire focus. We spent 2 hours on this podcast, I think, maybe an hour and a half on Wednesday, trying to understand the ins and outs of this. And there's a lot of mystery because Microsoft hasn't really said, and this is very common with Microsoft, they and I think kind of really not right. They popped up on many people's. We don't know if it's all. We don't even know who was selected and who wasn't. But maybe you got this in your system tray on your Windows 8.1 or Windows 7 install. Actually, I guess any 7 or 8 install. A little, looked like a Windows logo, the modern flat Windows logo. If you click it, it says, here's one flaw. It checks your hardware, but you don't know. It's hard to tell that's what it's doing because the screen flashes so fast you can't read it. And it was a little baffling to me. It goes, Phoop. And then it goes to, okay, would you like to, what it's doing is checking your hardware to see if you're compatible and approving you, which apparently takes like a microsecond. Then it says, okay, would you like to reserve a copy of Windows 10 when it comes out July 29th? And whether you say yes or no, that thing stays there. I said, yes, I want it. But now there's also some speculation that, there's questions. For instance, what if I don't want that thing? I can uninstall it. It's just it's a Microsoft update. If you know what to uninstall, you can remove it, and you won't have that little flag there. But it's not clear whether your reservation persists, whether you'll get Windows 10 on the 29th, or maybe you won't get it right away. It's not clear what the side effect of that is. There's some speculation, but it's pure speculation, and I think it's an interesting one, that Microsoft might use a peer-to-peer network. In other words, might use some of your bandwidth to help distribute this. So the minute you get a chunk of it, you can then offer it to other people. Microsoft hasn't said, and I think I think that ethics would require that not to mention the law, that they would have to tell you this and ask your permission, which they have not done and they have not said. So it's just rank speculation that they might use a peer-to-peer network. So we just don't. It's unfortunate Microsoft does these things, and I think they're a little bit shell-shocked from bad publicity or whatever, but they just don't want to talk. They just, you ask them these questions and they go, look, squirrel. 8888 ask Leo. Let's talk. Anyway, that's everything I know about it. I think you should get Windows 10. I've been using the pre-release version of it. It is much improved over Windows 8. I think it'll make you happy if you didn't like Windows 8. And there is a lot to be said for having the latest version of Windows, just for security reasons alone. Mark in Riverside, California is next. Hi, Mark. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Good afternoon, Leo. How are you doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, good. Hey, I have a timing question. I just got my brand new Apple Watch on Monday.
Congratulations!
I haven't unboxed it yet.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't have the latest Apple iPhone. And I was wondering, just to get your opinion or your observation, Apple always comes out with a new product or a new phone every year, and I was wondering if I should wait for the latest installment of the iPhone or just get the current version of the iPhone 6 Plus.
Oh, yeah, because the new version will come out in September.
Right.
We don't know what the new version will have. I can give you some good speculation if this will help. For one thing, this is the cycle. This is the talk in the TikTok cycle for iPhones. In other words, they're not going to change, or they don't usually in the second year of a new model change the hardware. So it'll look exactly the same as a 6 or 6 Plus. Mm-hmm. They will, but they can improve the guts. So it probably will have a faster processor, faster memory. One thing that there's a lot of speculation about is the camera, whether they'll put a better camera, because they're kind of falling behind on the camera thing. They might put a better camera in there, and there's some speculation that it'll have some interesting depth sensing features, some additional features, and there's reasons to believe that might be the case. The other thing I would guess almost undoubtedly that they will do is change the screen to a Force Touch screen. So it's a terrible name, by the way, Apple. You really, Force Touch, that sounds like something, I don't know, a pedophile would do. It's an awful name. But what Force Touch is, and we're seeing it on some of the MacBook laptops, the Pro laptops, and of course it's on your watch, is that if you press it a little bit, it does one thing. You press it harder, it does another thing, like a right click or something. And what this would mean is that for the first time ever, Apple would have pressure-sensitive screens on their phones, and I bet you they'll update the iPad to do this as well. That's a good thing if you like to draw on it. There's all sorts of reasons you might want pressure sensitivity, and it's almost certain that the user interface would incorporate some of these additional Force Touch commands. Now, let me say, I have Force Touch on my laptop, and I have Force Touch on my watch. I rarely remember to use it. It's not that useful. I could do without it. Certainly nothing I'd wait for. So I'm not sure that that's compelling. The new camera could be, but that's speculation. In other words, to answer your question, if you don't want to sit till September or October with that watch, you want to use it, right?
No, I don't, because my wife is every now and then she comes to the office and says, "Have you baked that?"
I'm losing the signal here, unfortunately.
My wife walks around and she comes into my office every now and then, and she always asking me if I've unboxed my watch yet, and I don't have a phone for it. So
I think you could safely get a 6 now or a 6 Plus. But you're right. It's only 6 months till the new one. Not even that long.
Right. I think I'll just get the current version.
I would.
I was looking at maybe if there's going to be a big cost difference, because I know when they come up with a new phone,
sometimes it drops the old one.
Price of the previous phone.
You'd certainly, in fact, if you want it. Okay, so here's another strategy. You could get a 5. The 5 is the one you need a 5 or better to use the Apple Watch. You could get a 5 for nothing right now. Right?
I actually want the bigger phone because my eyesight is going bad.
Which phone do you have now?
Don't laugh. I am still running around with the 4C.
Yeah. 4C, 4S.
I'm sorry, the 4S.
Yeah. That's fine. No, I'm not. I would never laugh. I would never laugh. That's fine. But it is a tiny screen. You will love even the iPhone 6 will be such an improvement for you.
Right.
So I think that, the 5 is a little bigger than the 4S. It's like an extra row of icons. The 6 is bigger still. It's up to you, but I think you'd be happy with the 6. You're not going to see such big improvements in what we would probably call the 6S, although I don't know what Apple's going to call it, that it would make a difference. And if you really want a big screen, 6 Plus is great. Battery life is great. Everything's bigger. I don't think Apple's done much to take advantage of the extra screen real estate, unfortunately. But it's easy to read. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, bringing in Johnny Jet, that big old jet airliner. He's coming in for a landing to talk high-tech travel. Hey, Johnny Jet.
Hello, Leo.
I tell you what, I have signed up for Silvercar. I have signed up for Lux. I have signed up for all of those cool things that you talk about each week on this show. It's amazing. The travel industry is being totally transformed, and in a way we didn't expect, because in the early days of the internet, we thought, oh, that's it for travel agents. Everybody's going to go direct. That didn't happen right away, but it started to happen. But then what happened is that travel agents became more of a concierge service, a boutique service that's still very valuable. And what we didn't expect is the arrival of these Uber and these other services where convenience, for a price, of course, they're all a little bit more expensive, is really...
Not Lux, not the parking app.
I know, that's a cheap way. I don't understand. So Lux is the one, it only works in some cities, but it works in San Francisco, which is a nightmare to park in. You press the button on the phone, and you say, I'm going to be here in 10 minutes, anywhere, not a parking lot. Here is like, anywhere, right. 4th and Mission, and they go, and there's a nicely attired, blue-jacketed Lux valet who says, hi, hey, Leo, here, I'm over here. He gets in the car, drives off. You never see it again, but who cares because you didn't have to pay for parking. No, apparently you do see it again. He'll actually drop off the car at a preset time, or you could do it via the app, wherever you want it.
Yeah.
And it's cheaper than parking in downtown San Francisco. They'll even wash your car.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. The modern world, Johnny. What do you got for us this week?
So real quick, there was a couple things actually big in the news this week. Was Lufthansa kind of shook it up, where they're going to start charging $18 per ticket if people book through a third-party website.
There go the travel agents.
The travel agents are all up in arms, and I don't blame them, because most of these travel agents charge a $25 service fee, and they're not going to be able to charge another $18.
No.
So we're just hoping the other airlines do not follow suit, but that's something to look at.
Well, don't they watch? They watch closely, and they say, "Did Lufthansa get away with it?" Oh, they did, and then they do it.
Lufthansa's, they own 4 different airlines,
right.
So
right.
It's not just them. Anyway, and did you take advantage of those Europe business class seats from West Coast and Austin to Europe for $1,600 round trip?
I wish I had, but I'd already booked my travel.
Okay, $1,600 round trip on BA and AA. I mean, it was a steal.
So we're going on KLM, but we booked through the cruise line. I often do that. If I'm going on a cruise, the cruise line says, oh, you book through us, you get a special package deal. So I booked through Uniworld. So I think at this point I can't really it's so close I can't.
No. You don't want to cancel it.
No, that'd be a mistake.
Plus, I bet you that fare is going. It was there yesterday. I'm sure everyone jumped on it.
Yeah. Oh, well.
But don't buy your insurance, by the way, don't ever buy insurance through a cruise line. You always buy it through third party.
But that's the case of insurance where the cruise line goes out of business. If the cruise line is still in business and you just get sick, that's not then the insurance is still good.
But you don't have to worry about Uniworld.
Uniworld is not going to go out of business, so I bought it there.
Okay, you're okay.
But I figure they're going to be around. But you're right, that could be in trouble if they went away.
You never know.
Yeah.
Okay, so my app of the week. This actually came from one of your listeners. Good. Sent me an email. He's a comedian, Dan Nanan, pretty famous comedian too.
He listens to me.
Yes.
Oh gosh.
Him and Steve Martin listen to you, man. You're the man.
Golly.
So it's called iArrow. Have you heard of that?
No.
IARROW. So it's an iOS for iOS. It's $1.99, but there is a light version. And Dan actually said you can download it for free on weekends, which I did not see last weekend I downloaded it. But that's what he said. So anyway, what this does will help you navigate wherever you are in the world. So it has over 2 million localities around the world, and so he uses it when he parks in an airport parking lot. So he'll just, instead of taking a picture of the column, whatever, he'll just mark it, and it will show you exactly the distance, where you parked, and it will work offline, which is awesome.
So the idea is, this is, if there's no roads, obviously most of the Google Maps and stuff isn't going to help you. But if you're at a campsite, if you're at a parking lot,
fishing,
this will help because it uses your GPS, which is still working, and then it can map it a little bit. Oh, that's cool. 2 million settlements, he calls it, in the database. Wow.
You know, I'm here in Connecticut. I grew up on Long Island Sound. And I got my name from jet skiing. I used to be called Johnny Jet Ski.
You're kidding. You're kidding.
No.
Wow.
So, and I remember one time I was jet skiing and the fog just rolled in, and I was totally turned around. I had no idea which way to go, and it was so scary. You really couldn't see your hand in front of you. So if I had something like this, you know, I would not have panicked and ended up going the wrong way.
What happened?
Luckily the fog lifted, and I somehow found my way back. But anyway,
Johnny Jet Ski lost at sea.
So when I started traveling, I changed my name. You know, I'm not Polish. I just made it Johnny Jet.
That sounds Russian. I'm Johnny Jet Ski. Hello, Johnny. All right, so that's a great app. iAero. It's by a Russian guy, Alexei Ilyin, and it's $1.99, even though it's a weekend. So it might have been just that weekend.
But there is a light version I just saw online.
Okay. All right.
But I paid the $1.99.
Yeah. That's
so
nothing.
Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So I got a website for you too.
Yes,
if we got
I'm
time.
ready. We do.
Okay. Have you heard of Hotel Lied? Lied.
The hotel lied.
One word.
What did they lie?
It's a website.
Yeah.
So this is a really interesting site because it takes in consideration a person's profile. So their elite status on airlines, car rentals, hotels, and also their profiles. So Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And the more pull you have, I guess, with a brand or your social media, that's the price you're going to get a better price.
You get a better deal because they say, "Oh, you're an influencer. We should give you a room."
Which is right now they're only in New York, LA, Miami, and Palm Springs, but they say they're going to go international, you know, within the next year.
It says, "What if your profession's social media status or travel history made you the next best thing? It's time to experience a travel site that gives you unconditional love and luxury you deserve." Do you qualify? I bet you do.
Well, I do have a pretty large following, but I haven't tried that pull yet.
I almost feel guilty when I do that kind of stuff.
But I think it's pretty. I mean, I know a lot of your listeners are, you know, big time social influencers, and I'm sure a lot of them have elite status on airlines and hotels and
I'm
whatever.
Signing up, man.
If you can save some money, check it out.
Yeah, I've got millions of followers somewhere. Look at that. Look at that. Metropolitan in Miami Beach was $369 a night. Now just $296 a night because I have 500,000 Twitter followers. So there.
I would just double check like Expedia or
see
all
if it
the
really
others.
is a great deal. So I'm seeing on the order of 16, 18, 20% off. 15% off.
You should be, well, that's not great. You should be, for your stats, but although you probably haven't linked in your accounts yet, so they don't know.
No. I just did Facebook, so let me add my Twitter.
So yeah, if you did Twitter and Instagram, that should go up to, you know, you should have 99% off.
Yeah, man. Let's get big. Let's get big.
Anyway, I thought it was a fun
It's a good idea.
And hey.
Yeah.
It's not as good as the other ones we mentioned earlier. Silver Car. Did you try Silver Car, by the way? Did you rent it?
I'm going to be using it next week when I go down to L.A. to do the Nerdist podcast. We're going to have a Silver Car.
And I'm having lunch with you.
I think we're going to get together. I'll arrive in my Audi A4.
Good.
Cool.
Pick me up.
Johnny Jet is at johnnyjet.com. That's his website. Great place to go. In fact, sign up for his free travel newsletter because he's got deals like that. Business class to Europe for $1,600. He's got that kind of stuff in there. You can also find him on the Twitter. He's Johnny Jet on Twitter. He's on Instagram. Do follow him on Instagram. I love your Instagram because I always see where Johnny's going, and it's always inspiring and exciting.
And I'm just looking at some deals right now. San Francisco, L.A., Phoenix to Montego Bay, Jamaica. Round trip $363.
Let's all go to Jamaica, everybody. Come along.
Not too shabby.
Thank you, Johnny Jet. We'll see you next week. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. More of your calls right after this. Da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, that was just with my Facebook. I can add now other stuff. I'm going to be huge.
You're
I
going
got
to be
the same
you're
deal.
Gonna be,
You got the same deal?
Did you?
Yeah, but I have big social media.
I know you need to get kicking there.
Creds. I'm going to get my social media. We'll see if this changes.
Yeah,
if it doesn't
that's
change,
what I want to
if
test.
it doesn't change, it's BS.
We got all your information. Thank you.
Yeah.
See you later. Yeah. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. You said somebody wanted to know about the baguette. Was it Midge? Let's talk to Midge. Hi, Midge. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. Last week on your show, you talked about a product that would protect your key fob if you were in a restaurant or in your home and somebody had an amplifier that they could pick up the signal.
Yeah.
But I haven't been able to find where I could get something like that. I went online, but there, of course, when I put in baguette, all it came up was
bread, French bread. Yeah, baguette is a bad name. It's just a name that my friend Steve Gibson came up with. Really, and there are a lot of places you get them on eBay for $5 and stuff. There are a lot of places. What you want is a small bag. That's what we call it, a baguette. Not a big bag, but a small bag big enough just to fit your key fobs, your car. If you have a key fob that is keyless entry key fob, you're at risk because of the way the car manufacturers designed these. Somebody with a cheap, I mean really cheap, $17 amplifier can walk up to your car and get in because the amplifier amplifies the car's signal, and if your key is within a few hundred feet, which it probably is, it'll just open it'll think you're standing next to the car just as you would with your fob, and you just get in. He could even drive off. Now, of course, most cars with that kind of system will start complaining, where's the key, where's the key? But they won't stop. That would be dangerous. So he's not going to be able to drive off and then start it again, but he could drive it off to a chop shop, and there's your car gone. So what Steve, our security guy, says is the simple way to defeat this is just put your keys in a bag that has a wire mesh or a metal lining, because that'll block the radio signal. Radio signals don't travel through a wire mesh.
Right.
So,
and then where do you find something like that?
well, there's a lot of places. The chat room's telling me that there's a company called Bagalini, which is pretty close to baguette, that makes these. And what you're looking for is a little radio opaque bag, I guess. I'm not sure exactly how I'd phrase this, but I'll tell you what we're going to do. You know, we have a website, techguylabs.com.
Right.
I'm going to charge Josh Windish, my producer, with putting a few links in there for wire mesh bags that will block radio signals. That's what you want.
Okay, because when I heard about it last week on your show, I thought, oh my goodness, that's terrible. I always have mine in my pocket, and if I'm in a restaurant or wherever and they walk up, they could get it. So
Baggallini, Bagalini. They make
Bagalini.
They make something called an RFID wallet. Travel companies started making these because the United States passports now have a radio frequency identifying tag in the passport, so they can just tap the passport to something and you know it'll recognize it and give the passport number and so forth. They used to scan it. Remember, they'll put it in a scanner when you go across the border. Now they can just tap it. But some people are worried that they don't want to be identified as American just by walking around in some foreign capital. They're afraid. So a lot of people now have started carrying their passports. I don't do this, but if you were paranoid, you carry your passport in a RFID blocking wallet. Well, that has the same effect on the key fobs. So there are a number of companies that make these. The Bagalini ones are more stylish. But you can get a $5 bag on eBay that'll do the same thing. Just depends on how styling you want to be. Actually,
I just want a protection.
Increasingly, I think we're going to want these because we're also going to get credit cards that have wireless built into them that you just tap on a tap-to-pay console. And the problem is that even though these RFID tags are supposed to work only within a few inches, you literally have to tap them. Bad guys are coming up with ways to amplify these signals, and it makes everybody nervous. We've seen a demonstration, for instance, of a radio receiver that can detect RFID tags in passports as from 10 feet away as you walk. And so the fear is that bad guys would put some device in a garbage can that would detect American citizens and blow up the garbage can as you walked by. I don't think that has happened or will happen, but you understand why people are a little bit paranoid. So
Right, right.
Same thing will happen with these credit cards. It's conceivable a bad guy could sidle up next to you and charge your credit card. So I have a feeling we're going to see lots of these wallets that protect against radio waves. Okay,
well, I'll go online. Thank you very much.
I am so glad you called, Midge, because I realized I confused a heck of a lot of people. I got a lot of emails saying, "What's a baguette and where do I get one?" And I'm using one because I really don't like the idea of somebody getting in my car and ransacking it. Most of the time, my car's in the garage. It's safe in the garage because they'd have to access the garage first. But if it's out on the street in front of your house, and this is what my friend Nick Bilton, the writer for the New York Times, observed, if it's out on the street in front of your house, he has a Prius. It's got keyless entry. So that's what you need. You need one of those fobs where you don't have to push a button or anything to get in. You just walk up to the door, and it unlocks, and you open it, and you get in. And most cars like that also have push-button start. So you walk to the door, open it, get in, press this, and drive off. So Nick observed that there were kids going down the street one by one, just getting in cars, taking stuff, going to the next car, opening it up. And then he saw him do it to him. And he said, I know my car was locked. How did they do it? Well, that's how. These $17 on eBay, they're little I shouldn't say this because I'm telling people how to do it. They're little well, it's widely known. They're little transmitters. And the reason this works is because the car, the way the auto manufacturer set this up was wrong, basically. And I'm sure they'll try to fix this soon. But the car is waiting for proximity from the key fob. It's actually a little radio transmitter. It's looking for the key fob. And the way the key fob is so, the car's transmitter is so meek and mild, that it doesn't go more than a few feet. So that's the security, right? Well, you have to be standing next to the car with your key fob. Except that these transmitters take the car's signal and amplify it enough to get all the way to the key fob 100 feet away. The car goes, I see it, opens the door for you, even if you're the bad guy. So it's so weird. But you go to Amazon, you look for RFID blockers. You go to eBay, look for RFID blockers. Those will work. Anything that blocks radio signals. I got mine from a company called Scott eVest. It's kind of cool. It's just a little pouch. Looks like you'd put doubloons, gold doubloons in it. Instead, I put my key fobs in there. We're entering an interesting time because more and more of this stuff is going to happen. Your credit card's going to have this kind of RFID technology. So will your smart home devices. We're going to have to really do something to protect this. I think the time has come. Moving on to Boris, New York. Hello, Boris.
Hey, Leo. How's it going? How are you doing today?
It's good. I just want to warn you, I got about a minute before we break for news, but if you'll hang on, we'll go right through. We'll talk after the news break, but let's get started. Yeah.
Well, I'm in the market for a computer. My laptop had broke, and now I need to buy something new. So I was looking for a computer, and I came across an Asus ZenBook U303.
Love it.
And I wanted to get your feedback.
Yeah. I reviewed it for one of our product review shows. I think Asus does great stuff. The ZenBooks and this would be a Windows 8.1, which is nice because you get the free upgrade to Windows 10. The ZenBooks from Asus are affordable but powerful. They're flexible. I think they're just great. They're very lightweight. Which one are you looking at?
Well, the one I'm looking at.
Well, hold on. I shouldn't have asked. We're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this. Stupid me. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Yes, it's time to talk computers and the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, smart homes, smart TVs. 8888, Ask Leo. I'm your worst nightmare, a geek with a radio show. Yeah. But when you need one, you're glad to know where to go to find him. 8888-827-5536. Website, techguylabs.com. You can go there, find show notes. For instance, we already have from the chat room a bunch of recommendations for little, what am I going to call these? I don't, radio wave opaque bags? No. Radio shielding bags. How about that?
How about the word blocker?
Okay. Blocker bag. Bag blocker. A blocker bag. RF blocker bag. Yeah, that's not bad. A RF blocker bag or radio frequency blocker bag. The idea is you put your key fob in there, but eventually I think you're going to put your wallet in there. I think you're going to put more and more in there. In fact, it's just a matter of time before people make purses that just have metal. It's, the metal shielding can be very thin, flexible fabric that's even invisible. It's just built into the bag. That's what we're going to want, right? Is handbags and fanny packs and briefcases and European carry-alls that are all lined with this material. So it's opaque. Radio deflector bags. RF blocker. There's got to be there's not really, I don't think there's an industry name, but we'll find one. We were talking about buying a new laptop with Boris in New York. He's looking at the Asus ZenBook 302. They have a whole bunch of different ones, but the 302 is the
It's actually 303.
303. It's a very light, thin. It's only 15 millimeters thick. Beautiful. If what you're looking for is portability, great choice. I like Asus.
I want to make sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
I do want to make sure that it can run Photoshop and also some light video editing and some streaming as well. As long as it can handle it. This one comes with an i5 processor, 5200U. It comes with a 13.3-inch display, 3200 by 1800. So it's a pretty high-end
That's nice.
display.
Yeah, I love the displays Asus is putting in there. How about what you really want to know is how much RAM?
Great question. 8 gigs of RAM, 1600 megahertz, and a 256 SSD.
And all of that sounds great. Do they say if it's using the Intel graphics?
Yes, it is. Unfortunately, this one comes with the Intel HD Graphics 5500.
That's fine. Anything nowadays will run Photoshop. It's not whether it'll run. It's whether it'll run at a reasonable speed.
Right.
And if you want something that's light and compact, doesn't use a lot of power, maybe you'd give up 10% or 20% in speed in Photoshop. Big deal. You drink more coffee. That would be a great machine for Photoshop. I'm actually going to bring a lighter weight machine with less juice, the Apple MacBook, on my trip, and use that for quick photo editing and stuff like that. You still would want to, if it's your only computer, then maybe, the MacBook, for instance, would be a poor choice because of the Core M processor. I think this Asus ZenBook sounds like it's pretty powerful. I think it'd be fine.
Do you think it would be pretty comparable to a MacBook Pro?
Yes. It's almost identical to a MacBook Pro.
Okay, great. Awesome.
Enjoy. Thanks for calling, Morris. It's nice to talk to you.
All right.
Cheryl in Orange, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. I have a question about hosted email exchange. I have a small business that I started about 10 years ago, and when I first started out, based on a recommendation of somebody I knew, I parked my domain for email purposes with a company called MailStreet that was eventually acquired by a company called Aptex, which is what I'm using now. Mm-hmm. At this point, the only email that's really active is my email, but I want to continue to use my domain with my email because that's what my clients know.
Well,
but
here's the best.
$50 a month for this.
Yeah, here's the best.
That's way too much.
Here's the best news. You own that domain name, right? You registered it.
Yes. Yes.
You can go anywhere because the domain name just gets rerouted. So if I use, Leo at mymail.com as my email. By the way, this is why I recommend everybody, even if you never say, I never want a website, get a domain name that's yours and make that be your email, because that way you take it with you. It's yours. You can go to any hosting company you want, including Google and Yahoo, and have them do your email. Frankly, that's what I would do if I were you, is set up a Gmail account. It doesn't matter what the name of the account is. You probably already have a Google account.
Yeah, I do.
If you want to use that, Gmail, do. If not, use some other, make up a Gmail name. And then what you're going to do is take your domain name away from Aptech. So you're going to call them and say, thank you, you guys are great, but I don't need this service anymore. I would like to take my domain name back. Now, I don't know how you set it up, whether you or an engineer or somebody set it up, but your domain name is purchased from somebody. I don't know who. Maybe GoDaddy. That's very popular.
Yeah, I think that's who it was.
Okay. So GoDaddy is...
It's now parked with a company called Enom.
Yeah, I know Enom. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So you can go to Enom, really, and say, I don't want myemail.com to be going to AppTech anymore. I want you to do an email forwarder. Most hosting companies will do this. You ask them, say, Enom, will you do an email forwarder for me? Yes. And that'll be a few bucks a month. And then you forward it.
I've been looking at Rackspace.
Okay.
Putting it with them because basically for less than $15 a month.
Google does it for free.
Who does?
Google. Google does it. Gmail is free. It has the best anti-spam solution anywhere. You can use your web browser to go to Gmail, or you can set up Gmail in almost any email program because everybody uses it. Works on your phone, works on your desktop. The only program, and I bet you because you're using Exchange, you probably use Outlook for your email.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, you might want to stop that.
What would you recommend in my place?
Oh, anything is better. Anything is better. The reason I don't like Outlook is it's a big hairball of a program. It's not just email. It's calendar, contacts, and email. And it's all in one big, giant, impenetrable file called a PST file.
Right.
And I don't like that. I would much prefer to see you could use Thunderbird. There's a lot of email programs for Windows that would just go to Gmail and get your mail. Gmail keeps all your mail, has virtually unlimited storage, so you never have to delete a message or worry about it. You just archive them. It gets them out of your hair, but you can find it anytime using Google's very fast search. I do that because your email is a database of information, right?
Right. Yeah. See, I never delete business emails. I either
don't delete anything. Yeah.
Yeah. I transfer them to
well, that's why Outlook is bad. Yeah, but you don't need to do that with Gmail. Outlook's bad because that PST file gets bigger and bigger. Pretty soon it gets too big to handle. Now you do have to archive mail and do all sorts of crazy stuff. Just have it all go to Gmail. And now Gmail, it's unlimited, and it's always there, and you just archive it in Gmail, and you don't see it, but it's there, and you can search it. I've been using Gmail for almost 10 years, and everything's in there. And if I forget somebody's name or address and I talked to them 8 years ago, I can search and find it, and there it is.
So I would still keep my same email address.
Yes, because you own that.
Forwarded to this other Gmail address?
You own your email address. So you go to Enom, the registrar is what the technical term is. You go to the registrar. First say, hey, registrar, do you do email forwarding? And how much is it? And if it's an affordable amount, it shouldn't be more than $1 or $2. Then say, great, I want you to start forwarding this address to this Gmail account. That's it. You're done. And now, before you do that, get all your mail so that you have a copy of everything, because everything that's on the Exchange server, you want to get all a copy of that. But that's the only thing you need to worry about.
Yeah, that's the one thing I have to do is copy everything that's on there now off. But I'm a law firm. Are other law firms compatible with Thunderbird?
All right, we have to take a break. We have to take a break, and we'll talk about that. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's virtually unlimited. How much mail do you have? 15 gigabytes is a lot of email. It's much more than 10 years worth of email for me, and I get a lot of email. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask. Leo's the number. So I'm going to take a little more time to talk with Cheryl because we're talking about something complicated, which is email. And it's also important, right? This is the #1 thing you do with the internet is your email.
Yep.
So I guess maybe some foundational work might be in order, or explanation might be in order here. Your email is sent to your address by whoever's emailing you. Now, that address can be a number of things. It can be an email program that receives email, stores it. That's what your various Exchange server hosting companies have been doing. When it gets to your address, they take it, they go, oh, here's some email, and they process it, and they put it in your email box. But that's only one thing it can be. So it's kind of like if you send mail to my house, that's what happens. But you can also set it up that the company that has, and this is all through something called DNS, the domain name system. When you have a domain name, I have leoville.com. That's where my email goes. When you have a domain name, you could have a server there, or you could have it redirect to a server somewhere else. And that's what I'm going to ask you to, or suggest that you ought to do. It doesn't have to be Gmail. It could be anywhere. Probably that's what's going on right now, unless it just depends who's doing the DNS for your domain name. It might be was it AppTech? It might be them.
AppTech, yeah.
It might be Enom. I'm not sure. So you need somebody technical who can go in and log into your, for instance, log into your Enom account and see what the DNS entry, what you're looking at specifically is the mail entry, which is the MX record for your name is. And it's probably, in all likelihood, it's on Enom and it's pointing to AppTech's.
Okay.
But there's no reason you can't have it point somewhere else. But what you want to do is ask Enom, do you do email forwarding? Usually you pay us, so you could have an email server, that's what you're getting from AppTech's, or you can have a much less expensive, simple solution, which is called email forwarding, where email comes in and instead of being stored on that server, the server goes, oh, you want Cheryl's email, that's over here. That's at Gmail, or you could make it anywhere you want. And we're going to send it over there. It just bounces it over there. That's what I do, by the way. I own, because you don't want to have to give people different email addresses all the time. In fact, it's your lawyer, you want it to be your business.
Yeah,
right?
That's what I use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want it to be CherylEsquire.com. And so you've smartly registered that. Maybe you have a website there. You don't have to. But you do have your email going there. So you want to have that, wherever that's being, the record for that is being stored, you want that to forward your email to another service. And there's another one called Fastmail. I like a lot, fastmail.fm. That's paid, though, but it's a lot cheaper than what you're paying. We're talking $50 a year or even less.
Yeah.
But Gmail's free. Now, it's fine for a lawyer because it's just an email server. Nobody knows you're using Gmail. As far as they're concerned, they're sending an email to Cheryl Esquire.
Right.
They don't see Gmail. You do, because you can use it, or on the web, or you can use a client that gets the mail from Gmail and stores it on a computer, as you're doing right now with Outlook. The only reason I don't recommend Outlook is it doesn't work well with Gmail. You have to buy another. I think you have to buy another product to work with Gmail. Maybe not. I might be wrong on that.
If I don't have Outlook, is that going to be a problem? Because most of the legal profession is on the Microsoft platform.
Yeah, but they don't know what kind of mail program you use. There's one exception, and that's invitations to meetings.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was wondering about.
In fact, I had a secretary call me and said, I'm going to send you an Outlook. A what? An Outlook. I don't use Outlook. What are you going to send me? Well, it's a meeting invitation. Oh, send me a meeting. So there is a standard for meeting invitations, and it should be what people are using. And then everything will work. In fact, if you have Gmail as your Google as your calendar, it'll work fine. And that's what I use. Let me ask, though, in the chat room, is it possible to send an invitation to a meeting from Outlook that doesn't work with Gmail, with Google's calendar? I don't think so. I think there's a standard for calendar invites. Outlook does some other stuff, but really nowadays, so few people are using. You can't. Here's the point. Nobody can count on you using Outlook.
Okay.
If they do, they're foolish.
Yeah.
Because that's not the case. So when his secretary said, I'm going to send you an Outlook, I said, well, don't send me an Outlook, but you could sure send me a calendar invitation. I don't use Outlook. And
it's like Word. I hate Word, but everybody in the legal profession, at least that I deal with.
Right. But that's a little different because that's a document format. Email is format independent. I mean, email is a standard that has nothing to do with Microsoft or anybody else.
Okay.
So you're not required to use Microsoft for email. Now, there are other additional things you should know because some of your email is confidential. Right. For instance, doctors are not allowed to send patient records over email, or shouldn't, because it's not private. And email is not private, whether you use Gmail or AppText or anybody else, because it has to go through the public internet to get there.
Right.
So you may have a secure mailbox, but in the process of getting to your mailbox, it's flying through the air. It's flying through the internet, and usually on more than 5 or 6 different servers where it could be read at any point. So if you want privacy in email, the only way to have privacy in email is to have what we call end-to-end encryption. That is, you encrypt it on your end and then send it to somebody who can decrypt it, and vice versa. That's such a pain to set up, nobody uses it.
Yeah, I was going to say, no, I've
Nobody
never
uses
seen
it.
that.
And it cracks me up because I see these long disclaimers at the bottom of emails, usually from lawyers, saying, you shouldn't read this, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, you're a lawyer. Are those legally enforceable? I can't imagine they are.
I don't have one on the bottom of my email.
I think it's
because the one I especially like is if you get it by mistake.
Yeah, delete it.
Happens,
yeah,
delete it. Don't look at it or send it back to us.
I don't think that's legally enforceable.
Really? Yeah. I mean, I'm like, no, I don't think that works, guys.
No, it's to scare you, but it's completely meaningless.
Yeah.
It always cracks me up when I see that. But it is important for you to understand that anything you send via email, including attachments, there's no privacy guaranteed. It's like sending a postcard.
That's very good to know. I mean, I've certainly had conversations with clients about not forwarding emails because it may end up in the wrong hands and stuff. But
well, there's lots of other things. It's a written record. There are legal requirements for saving it, blah, blah, blah. There are lots of reasons not to use email for something that you don't want the world to know about.
Exactly. Well, thank you very much.
I hope that helps.
No, it does. I mean, I may end up going with one of these services, either this fast mail.
Fast mail's good. I like
if you Rackspace or somebody just because I feel more comfortable with the process.
Yeah, a lot of people don't want Google to have access to the contents of their email because Google makes it very clear. No, we scan it to look for appropriate ads, blah, blah, blah. Your recipients have no idea that that's going on. And it's no different really than anything else that's going on. But it makes some people nervous. So, yeah, use fast mail. I love fast mail.
Okay.
Highly recommend it. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Thanks for the call. You're welcome. And nice thing about fast mail, that will work very well with Outlook. That's a standard IMAP server. That's a mail protocol that Outlook understands very well, handles very well. Gmail is somewhat of a non-standard IMAP. They do some things that confuse some email programs. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's confusing. And it's one of those things you feel like it's a house of cards and you don't want to mess with it. I know this very well. And unfortunately, when you're in tech, you have to mess with things that could have horrific implications all the time, like our new website. I mean, we're playing with stuff and it's like, oh, I hope this isn't going to break everything. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. Let's go back to the phones. Michelle is in Mission Viejo. Hi, Michelle.
Hi there, Leo. Thank you for taking my call. I listen to you all the time, and about 90% of what you're talking about goes over my head. But
me too.
Years ago, it was about 100%. So
good. You're making progress. Maybe in a few years we'll both understand what I'm saying.
Oh, my. Okay, I have a daughter ready to head off to college.
Yay.
And, she's piecemealed an HP like $350 laptop for 4 years, and we said, okay, when you get done, you can pick whatever you have.
Isn't that nice?
She's really struggling between going with Mac or I don't know, Windows, whatever the normal PC.
Yeah, Windows. That's the normal PC.
And she's going into a science major.
Okay.
Where she likes graphics and the speed for the manipulations, 3D images, things like that.
She's going to want to. So the problem with the Mac is it's more expensive because Apple doesn't sell consumer-grade hardware. They only sell pro hardware.
Okay.
So you'll note that you can go to Dell and buy a $400 computer or a $1,200 computer. The $1,200 computer is much more like the Mac because that's what the Mac costs $1,200. These are higher end, and if you can afford it, and I understand that's a big chunk, it's better to get the Pro version. In terms of reliability, performance, and just longevity, you're gonna get 4 years out of a Pro Mac, a Pro version than a consumer version. The cheap laptops are exactly what you'd expect, cheap.
Yes. Okay, so for the Mac Pro, how does she know what is going to work for her? What
So Mac is widely used in science. It's very, very popular in science, partly because it's based on Unix. It's based on an operating system called BSD, which comes out of Berkeley. It is widely used in science. She has access to scientific languages like Python on the Mac. She has a command line. So and as far as 3D graphics and so forth, Apples are comparable with PCs in that regard. They're all, frankly, using the same hardware as PCs. So I don't think there'll be any issues there. It would be worth calling the school. What school is she going to?
Cal Baptist.
So call them and say, do you have a recommendation? They may have a discount. The school bookstore may have a discount. But I would ask their IT department and maybe even the department she's thinking about going into. What should we get? We want to make sure we have a computer that's going to get her through her major.
Okay.
In most cases, unless they have some particular software they like to use that's Windows only, a Mac would be a good choice, I think.
Okay. Now, her secondary question is, she's a little paranoid after having such a problematic laptop that she's thinking maybe she should also have a desktop, and she's willing to buy that. Wow. And we're wondering, is that necessary? And she would like them to be compatible. Like, she would like to...
I think it's a little bit overkill. You know, if you're getting a MacBook Pro, and she's probably going to want to get the 15-inch bigger screen MacBook Pro, you can hook that up to a big monitor. So when she gets back to the room, she just puts it on a big monitor. She could even have a keyboard and a mouse there. It'll look like a desktop.
Ah, okay.
So that'll save you a little money. You don't need to buy the full computer. You've got the guts of the computer. Okay. Apple designs its laptops nicely for that. You leave the laptop closed, and as soon as you connect it, it acts like that laptop is now, you can even put it aside, and that's your computer. So I think that's a good... that'll save her some money. She just needs a monitor.
And as far as like viruses, and I know that that has been more of an issue of recent with Macs, and it's just going to continue. Is there?
Yeah, I mean, there's no look. First of all, there's no computer that's not going to cause you to tear your hair out from time to time, and there's no computer that's going to be completely secure. But in general, Macs are not under anywhere near the attack that Windows PCs are.
All right.
I don't think she's got anything to worry about. There are a few things lately we've been recommending. For instance, we for a long time recommended that Windows users not operate as administrator, but instead as a standard user. I now, unfortunately, in fact, as of last week, because of an exploit on the Macintosh, I'm recommending, it's only on the older ones, not the newer ones, anything pre-mid-2014. But nevertheless, probably smart to not operate as an administrator on your Mac, but just as a normal user. She'll have an administrator account she can log into when she needs to do administrative stuff.
Okay.
But that way, you really, at that point, the only way somebody can really get you is by physically getting to your Mac and accessing it there.
Okay. And I've heard you say that you can buy used or refurbished from
Apple sells refurbed Macs. Yep. I would look at those in the Apple Store. Just Google refurbed Macintosh, and only get it from Apple, though. Don't get it from anybody else.
Right. Okay.
And but it won't save you a lot, but it'll save you a few $100. That's fine to do that. Be careful about theft and loss. The problem with laptops is you're carrying them around. It's easy to lose them. Easy for somebody to steal your backpack, and inside it, your most precious possession.
Any way to prevent that?
Just attention. But look, I have 2 kids in college. I know exactly how you feel. By the way, that was one of the toughest days of my life when I dropped off our firstborn at college. Man, we cried. Not the kid. The kid was said, "Get out of here. Go away."
Go.
But her mom and I were in tears. It was very hard.
All right.
Yeah. But yes, you just have to, remind her that, look, you're not going to get another one, so don't lose this one. Don't leave it in the library. Leave it on the desk in the library. Go to the bathroom. There's not, the locks don't help much. If the dorm is safe, it's fine probably. If the dorm isn't, you can get what's called a Kensington lock and lock up your laptop. But I think the dorms are usually pretty safe as long as people are coming and going.
Yes.
Yeah, and do have a good backup solution. our sponsor Carbonite or something like it, because
They've saved my life more times than
I don't have to sell you on that one. Yeah,
You're not.
I put it on Abby's laptop when she went to college, because that's, you can't make them back up, but this does it automatically.
Perfect. Yeah, it has saved my life. And
oh, God, that's nice.
They don't need it. They back up, but I don't. And so I take it for granted.
Right. Hey, congratulations. It's a big step. And your daughter's just graduated, I would guess, yeah?
Just graduated, yes.
Congratulations. That's great.
So soon she'll get this and be on her way.
Oh, yeah, good luck.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, and I know she will.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, bye-bye.
Congratulations. That's so good. My daughter still brings home her laundry at the age of 23, but that's okay. I got her car parked in my driveway because she's gone off to Spain. That's okay. No, it's an exciting move when the birds, the little fledglings, start to leave the nest, and it's nice to give them a good tool for their 4 years of school. College is tough, and having a good laptop, man, I wish we'd had that kind of thing. Nice thing is all colleges have good internet now. They have printers, so you don't have to worry about bringing a printer in general. You go down to the library and print. A lot of dorms even have printers now online. 8888 Ask Leo. Here's what we're going to do. I am going on vacation in a month, so we're recording ahead. So we will keep the phone calls going for another hour or so. 8888 Ask Leo. If you've had a hard time getting through, and I know it's hard during the regular show, this should be a good time to get through. There's fewer people trying to get on. The GizWiz, Dick DeBartolo, coming up with his Gadget of the Week. I think we'll have a couple more calls before the end of the hour, and then another hour of offline recording so we can get fresh shows for you when I'm on vacation. Heather's agreed to stick around. Nathan, you don't have to do anything. Actually, it's Juan today. You don't have to do anything either. 8888 Ask Leo. The website I should mention, techguylabs.com. That is a great resource for you. Audio and video from all our previous shows. You can search it. We've got show notes written in text, but we also have a comment section, and it's all free. There's no sign-up fee at all. TechGuyLabs.com. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Who is this strange man sitting there in his Disneyland? That's not my beautiful GizWiz. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. And here he is, ladies and gentlemen, watching the Hudson River go by. Mr. Dick DeBartolo, Mad Magazine's maddest writer. We call him the GizWiz because each and every week he comes by with a fabulous gizmo or gadget. Hello, Dickie D.
Hello, Leo. How you doing, pal?
I'm well.
Good.
Has summer hit Manhattan?
It has hit it. It's all over the place. It was like 80 last Saturday.
Nice.
Today is like, I don't know, 72. It was 55 on Wednesday.
Isn't that weird when it can't figure out its mind? Yeah.
Not at all. Mother Nature is having a very bad summer so far. You know what? I think Mother Nature should give us like 5,000 degrees, and then you just
distribute it as you please.
As you wish.
That's brilliant.
Isn't that a better idea?
Why never I thought of that? Except Mother Nature, she's notorious for not listening to us.
Yeah, I know. But you're listening. I have something I think you will like.
Tell me, dude.
We both like pens. We both like flashlights. Don't we?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a new series of flashlights from Pantavision. First of all, the design is great because they're flat, so you can put them in a pocket. Second of all, they are waterproof to 3 feet, not water resistant. There are O-rings over the battery compartments.
Ooh.
Third of all, they use Cree bulbs. And they start at 210 lumens, and they go to 1,000 lumens.
Wow.
Which is really bright. They're made out of aircraft aluminum.
Are they like those flashlights you can beat people over the head with?
You know what? Maybe. I don't think it's one of the copy points.
Oh, okay. This is flat, though. It's kind of like, it's an interesting shape.
It's very interesting. As a matter of fact, when I met the PR guy, he said, "I have all of the products with me, and look at my hands are free."
Wow.
Right. So he had the little guy in his shirt pocket. The little guy takes 4 AA's. The medium guy takes 4 AAA's. And the 1,000-watt guy, the 1,000 lumens guy,
gasoline generator.
Yeah, that's exactly. Uses those C123 batteries, and they are, I think, reasonably priced for what they are. The little guy is $49.99. That's the 210 lumens. And then 600 lumens is about $60, and the 1,000 lumens is about $80. And also, he said shockproof to 9 feet, which is good. And also little built-in heat sinks at the bulb end, since the higher lumen guys would get hot, but now the little heat sink will dissipate that light.
Yeah, people think that LEDs don't heat up. They actually do. It's one of the challenging design issues.
No, absolutely, absolutely, and of course, the brighter they get, the hotter they get. So that little heat sink is it. No running hot and cold water with the heat sink, though.
Yeah,
that was the only disappointment.
Yeah,
and they are out now.
No, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, well, it would be nice to have hot and cold running.
Right,
Wait a minute. Heat sink.
I went right by it. Yeah. The heat sink. Yeah. And they are on the website now and probably in stores in the fall.
$50 for the 210 and $80. Why not just go all the way to the 1,000 lumens?
The 1,000, and it has a high-low switch, so you don't need to use.
Oh, that's good. That's the kind of thing you shine in somebody's eyes and go, ah.
You could use it as a weapon that way. Someone would be blinded for a moment. They would run the other way.
How long do the batteries last?
The burn time, I think I only asked about the 1,000 lumens, 10 hours on low and 5 hours on high.
But you could put rechargeable batteries in there, and that wouldn't be so bad.
Exactly. And I believe Pantavision said they're going to have their own line of C123s to make it easier to get them and cheaper than buying online.
Because it uses those lithium, the coin batteries, you can't get rechargeables of those, can you? The CR123s? I don't know if you can.
I don't think they're rechargeable. I thought you were talking about getting them with a separate little recharger. But, you're right. I'm not even sure you can recharge the C123.
So you just have to buy the extras of those.
Yeah.
It uses 4CR123.
And when you think about 10 hours, you use a flashlight for three minutes. Yeah, you go in, you go, oh, there's the money I dropped under the bed.
I'm going to get one of these. I like having a really bright flashlight for outside. You
will like the 1,000 guy. It is neat.
That's like a PowerPoint projector.
It is. It is. Yeah. You could do hand doodle
puppets.
Figures on the folks half a mile down the block.
Yeah. What's that look like? A doggy? I'm back here. I'm over here.
Is that Leo again doing hand puppets?
Doing hand puppets. Dick D. Bartolo, he's at gizwiz.biz. You can play the What the Heck Is It contest there to get a chance to win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine. Don't forget, his GizWiz TV show is at gizwiz.tv, and he does that every week now, and it's just great with Chad Johnson, OMG Chad, and I'm so glad you're doing that, and I want everybody to support him.
We're glad we're doing it, too.
Yeah. So thank you, Dickie D, and I'll see you next time.
I'll be here.
All right. Now let's see if we sneak one more caller in here. I've got Tom on the line from Charlotte, North Carolina. Hi, Tom. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. How you doing?
I'm great. What can I do for you?
Good. A couple of quick questions if you have time. Number one, the Apple TV. Been reading some things about the accessibility, specifically the descriptive audio that describes what's happening in a scene during a movie. I'm visually impaired, so that's why this is of such interest to me. What have you heard about that on the new Apple TV that's supposed to come out in the fall?
Well, first of all, it's only rumors that there is even a new Apple TV, and I haven't heard any details about the specifications. Do you have the existing Apple TV?
No, I do not, and I want one, but I was waiting to get one until I saw what's...
Well, I know Netflix at least offers descriptive audio. It's a nice feature. You know, obviously the service that you're going to use has to offer it. So for those who don't know, as if you can hear, so you can hear the dialogue, but what you don't know is what's going on screen. So the descriptive tells you, oh, now he's walking into a dark room, and there's a light at the end, and I think that's great. That gives you full accessibility to these movies and TV shows. Netflix does do it, and it does work on Apple TV, and it would be my strong guess that it would continue to work on any new Apple TV. There's no way they're taking that out.
Good. Second question. A couple callers back, you spoke to a guy, maybe more than a couple callers back, who got the Apple Watch, but he had an iPhone 4S. Am I correct in hearing you say that no one should buy the Apple Watch? Or am I understanding that?
I'm really reluctant to say this because I'm going to get a lot of heat. I think smartwatches are not that useful or smart. The Apple Watch is a very expensive smartwatch. I don't think Apple has solved the usability issue. It's very hard to use. I wouldn't want to try to use it if I were blind, especially. But even if you have sight, the icons are tiny. It's hard to see. I have to say, I don't recommend the Apple Watch at this point. Having now used it for more than a month, I don't think any smartwatch is that useful. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the Twit Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.